Hello everybody, and thank you for joining SHOWstudio this afternoon. We're back with our head-to-head, now hopefully famous head-to-head, to discuss everything fashion. I'm Mimma Viglezio and I'm here with the legendary Colin McDowell, and we're going to talk about couture. The couture season has just ended.
Yes.
And I think it's been a rather interesting one, not only for the clothes and the fashion that we've seen, but also for all the polemics and the discussions around it, like, is couture still relevant? Is it relevant to have incredible spectacles put up by the brands that cost millions in themselves? Is it okay to do a haute couture show? So I would like to start discussing a little bit this, and maybe the best thing would be to start from Fendi.
Well, yes, I think it would be. But what I would like to say is I think that politically, fashion's becoming very interesting at the moment. It seems to me that we've all realised, I realised a long time ago, and so would you have, that ready-to-wear shows are almost a waste of time. There's no inspiration there at all, normally speaking.
Okay.
I can think of whole cities that have them, which I would just wipe off the calendar. And I'm very much hoping that couture is now going to take its real place, which is to lead ideas, you know?
Okay, but so that implies that also the spectacle around, I mean, the fact that they become theater plays almost,
well, that
matters. Do you believe in that, or do you think that the clothes should be more protagonist of it? The ideas within the fashion.
If I want to go to the theatre,
yeah, you go to the theatre.
I go to the theatre. If I want to look at clothes, I want to just see the clothes. I think we're certainly having too much dressing up of the set and everything. Chanel is the perfect example of this. They spend an absolute fortune, and really it doesn't boil down to anything at all, except that people come out talking about the mise en scène and not the clothes, which seems to me to be totally counterproductive.
Can I be a little bit controversial
Of course.
Here? Of all the couture shows that we've seen, apart from a few things that were absolutely spectacular, and the 3D printing of the Chanel classic jacket, I don't think this was a show full of ideas. And that's probably why also the Casino or whatever else Carles put together before is more important, because...
Yes, you're right.
Because when you look at this that we're seeing now, you don't see the 3D printing and you just see Chanel the way you've always seen Chanel.
Yeah, but this is the terrible problem. The Casino or the, what did you have last season?
You had the gallery, the Casino, the supermarket, the
an
demonstration
aeroplane
in
at
the
one
street.
stage. You know, I mean, these are not what it's about. People spend a lot of money and time going to see clothes.
But why do they do that?
Because they're bored with clothes. They're too old.
Wow,
They're
that's
too
a statement.
Old. It's impossible. I know I'm old. It's impossible to keep the same enthusiasm and interest for a little Chanel suit season after season. So you play with other things. Or
maybe I'm old too, because I sort of agree.
Well, or you become a photographer or whatever. You know?
I mean, but you know, Karl Lagerfeld is a very smart man, and even if he insists there's nothing thought about, it's all spontaneous, I'm a gambler with my clothes. Of course, the gambling thing in the middle of one of the worst economical crises in Europe, where one whole country was going down the drain on the same day. I mean, of course it's not by chance. He will never convince me that it had nothing to do as a clander to the economy. What do you think? I mean, for me, it was the gambling of our politicians with the economy. So I think there is a political, topic behind.
I think out of, say, 500 fashion people, probably only about 20 know that Greece is in trouble. Fashion people have no interest in anything with clothes, I can assure you of that. What I feel, no one reads a paper. Of course they don't. I don't know any.
I do.
I travel with fashion people. I'm talking about young fashion journalists. People, they never read a
maybe
paper.
they read it online.
They flick through a magazine. They may do it online, but I'm not sure. What the other thing one could say, of course, clearly about Chanel is the look is so stereotyped. How could he possibly find it interesting?
Well, here there's like the ex machina, kind of Alicia Vikander look of the clones, you know, the robot women. There's something modern here, but I think the least modern thing in all of this is actually the clothes, and this is couture.
Yes.
So I agree with you that couture should be
It's giving no
the
lead.
fabric of ideas.
Yeah.
And I think this season we had many. I think this was the big return of John Galliano with Margiela. I
Yes.
absolutely adore the Valentino show with the Roman thing, but also the clothes, everything
Yeah.
about that. But let's talk a little bit about Fendi and the fur.
Well,
What do you think about
I
this?
think there are so many messages going around. There are some people who loathe the idea of fur. So no matter how beautiful it is, they won't see beauty. There are others who don't see anything wrong with fur.
Yeah.
I really feel that I feel sorry for people who want to wear fur, but I wouldn't say that they wouldn't have the right to wear fur.
So you wouldn't wear it, but you're not against. That's what you mean?
I'm
I don't
not,
understand where you
no,
stand.
I'm being sympathetic to people. If they feel they need fur, fine. What I would say is, if we had to have fur on the runway, could it be more attractive than this? I mean, these are incredibly ugly clothes.
I think you're getting in trouble with Karl Lagerfeld here. First
Well,
two shows
I
you're...
mean, look at the shapes and the heaviness of it all. You know, if you've got Sarah Bernhardt wrapped in fabulous tiger skins and everything, this is erotic and exciting. Is this erotic and exciting?
No, oh, well, I think no. I think
Would
there
you
is
answer
some.
that?
No, it's not.
I mean,
it's not,
is it
and I
fashion?
agree.
Is
I
it
think
fashion?
there is something about the technique that Fendi has had, you know, in its DNA for fur, which
They're
is
brilliant.
unique.
They're
I
brilliant.
think there is something about this which is a little bit more scandalous for me, on not only for the animal thing, but there is a coat which cost 1 million, and I'm not playing moralist here, but 1 million for a coat, I think it's a little bit too much money, even if you're really, really rich. And I think there is a decadence to it that for me it's a bit scary.
Well, fur's always been decadent, always.
Yeah, probably.
You know.
I
but
don't think it's modern.
I
I
don't
think you're
think-
right in that one. I don't think it's modern.
This isn't a bit
That
modern.
say, there's some very beautiful things here. And there's
Well, you might
certainly
say
the
that.
most incredible technique in working
Yeah,
with
sure.
furs.
Yes. What I feel is it's totally out of kilter with what people are wanting now.
So you think it won't sell?
It'll sell.
To who?
People who think it's cool to spend £1 million,
In a fur.
yeah, on a fur. You know, and I don't have a problem with that. If people are stupid enough to spend that money, or rich enough, let them. I mean, I don't care how people spend their money unless it's straightforwardly for
Yeah,
immoral
but do you think
purposes.
those people don't have style and they're not modern? That's what you're saying. You think
Yes, you're putting words in my mouth, but I'm not disagreeing with you. I think they have no... Look at this. There's no style in that. It's as if you pulled up a rug from a rather second-rate...
Rather expensive one.
A rather second-rate hotel and wrapped it around you because the central heating wasn't working. You know, I mean... I don't think I want to spend any more time on this because they're not clothes.
I think it's our
They're
own
not clothes.
No, I think it's our own Lou who said something about that scarf, that if you see it in movement, it's so long, it's almost a scandal, you know. It's like so much hair of someone who was alive before, wasted. It's so long that's like, why does it need to be so long? And so I don't know if they think about this kind of thing when they do that, or maybe we are old-fashioned thinking this. I wasn't impressed.
I'll tell you what I found really interesting talking to people after the show. They were all talking at how much it must have cost, and the $1 million.
Just to make these
dollars,
samples.
You know,
samples,
how expensive it all was. And I think if money is to be the criterion for fashion, then fashion's dead. Completely dead.
That's a very good point.
Because people like John Galliano and Alexander McQueen, two of the real shining lights of fashion in the last 50 years, wouldn't have got a look in. They had no money. They had no money to spend on clothes. So they did it, they looked into their hearts and their souls and decided, what do I really feel? There's no heart or soul in this. But it'll sell for, I suppose.
Do you think it'll sell Fendi in general? Do you think it's helping the brand?
I think that's
obviously more known for its leather than ready to
I think
wear.
that's very difficult. I think that's very difficult. I don't think it'll help Fendi in this city at all.
Certainly not in London. I mean, there's
No.
one country against her is the UK,
Yes,
so
yes.
no. But you know, in Italy, like in Milan, for many years, the symbol of success
Was a fur coat.
was a long,
course.
ugly mink fur
That's right,
coat. So,
that's right.
so at least in Italy,
The other-
it has
yeah.
some relevance. But let's
Let's just say this. The other interesting thing is, I talked to a lot of young fashion writers. Why did they go to a fur show if they know that most of their readers do not want to see fur?
Did they go?
Oh yes, they were all there.
Yeah, they were.
They were there. No, they were there because they thought, I don't want to miss out on a spectacle.
Sorry, look at the.
You know, I don't want to look. It's
But
too
you see
silly.
what I mean?
But I mean, it doesn't repulse me because it's fur. It repulses me because it's tasteless. That's the point.
Shall we move on
I
and
think
go
we
to
should.
something we both love?
I think we should. Before
And
fatwa is taken
can we go
out
to,
on
can we
my
go to
head.
Rome?
Let us go to Rome. I was in Rome.
I know.
And it was the perfect. I used to live in Rome. And
Yeah,
I hadn't
same.
been back for
So
ages.
did I.
Well, it was lovely. It was one of those 3-day situations where Rome is hot but dry, and it was lovely. And the Valentino show was done outside, and I was just talking.
was spectacular.
I was just talking to someone at lunch how lovely it is to know that you can organise a show outside, and you won't have to be rushing for umbrellas. It was a perfect.
In Rome,
evening.
as you know, it never rains. When it rains, the press talks about that.
Yes,
because
quite,
It's
it's
so
exciting.
rare. I lived 8 years there, and I've probably seen the rain 5 times.
Well, I lived there
18.
10 years, and I saw it in
10
March,
times.
and then nothing until September. But what I would say about this, I thought it was the most beautifully made collection. Personally, I thought it was a little somber. It was, you can't really see in these pictures, but the people who were there, the women who were there, were dressed in the
White and
most
red.
marvellous colours, and whites and all the rest of it. And they looked summery and terrific. This, I thought, this mini one here,
Yeah,
was
with the gladiator sandal.
was an absolutely brilliant piece of cutting. It was probably the most interesting and important piece there. But they were all very, very, very
I
beautiful.
think I'm a total fan, and even on a personal note, I sometimes wish I were rich to buy Valentino collections because I think they're amazing. I also think, and tell me if I'm wrong, that there is a Valentino influence on everybody now. Like the long sleeves are back.
Oh, yes, yes.
I've seen them a lot
Yes.
in Dior. I mean, it was Valentino. It was
It
the
was
Valentino couture that brought back the
Yes,
the closed up
yes.
with the very chic.
But it was Valentino.
Long sleeves,
Yes.
and I can see a lot of Valentino in other collections.
It's Valentino seen through young eyes. The two designers who do it
They are so good.
are so on the ball. They are terrific, in my opinion. These clothes, as opposed to the clothes we've just seen from Fendi, these clothes could be worn by a young woman
Absolutely.
if she were rich enough and look lovely. Most of the models there are young and they look terrific. This was a real triumph, I think. And it made me think, why on earth do we not say couture is where it is happening, or it should be happening, and let us please not take it away from Paris, but let's have couture re-established in Rome. It had Capucci, one of the greatest designers ever.
You wrote that
I wrote
beautiful
that.
article
Yes,
in the
I wrote
Business
it.
of Fashion.
Yes. And I
because
believe
Rome
that, you
was
know?
the home of couture.
Of course.
From
And
Sorelle Fontana onwards.
yeah, I want to see some ideas. I'll tell you, I've just been looking at the very good book that Pamela Golbaum wrote about Balenciaga.
I haven't seen it.
It came out a few years ago. It's one of those great big paperback books. It was about Balenciaga, and then it was about Nicola Ghesquière. And looking at Balenciaga for this research I'm doing for something, I realized that he used couture, because he only had couture, he didn't do ready to wear. He used couture to express ideas, to increase them and improve them. He was once asked, and this is very telling, I think, if you think of today, he was once asked by a crass journalist, he hated journalists, what are your ideas for next season, Mr. Balenciaga? Apparently he froze her and he said, Madam, I have no ideas. What he meant was, he's got a continuum. this is how he wants to work with cloth.
And this is how it evolves.
Yes. Now, wouldn't it be lovely?
But that brings me
if
to
we
ask
had
you another
that?
question, Colin.
Yeah.
When you look at now at ready-to-wear, or even the cruise which is brought around the world, where people are flown, they have to be put, you know, to see something meaningful for the 10 hours flight or whatever. You look at some ready-to-wear shows and I don't see that much difference. Maybe I don't touch the clothes, I don't see how they're made, but what's the difference actually? I mean, this could be a Valentino ready-to-wear show. It's
Mimma,
not, apart from some more day wear, but it's not that different, is it?
This is the whole tragedy.
So that's what you mean?
There is no difference. This is the whole tragedy. Now, I think that ready-to-wear, well, in certain cities, there are two modern cities, fashion modern cities, and I won't mention the names because I'll get into terrible.
I think I know.
I'm sure you do. I'll get into terrible trouble. But, you know, they're not making fashion at all, they're doing frocks. And we don't want frocks, we want ideas. Fashion is going round and round and round, and that is why there is virtually no difference between ready-to-wear and couture. But there damn well should be, if they're doing their job properly. They should stop going off to Korea or wherever it is to do a show which they know will be mentioned and featured simply because they've taken people all that way.
Exactly.
It's the cheapest game
But
of
now
all.
they have to compete to each other. I think it's more of a
They always competed with each other.
war of the roses, like it's an internal war. I mean, they did it, I have to do it, and I have to do it bigger and better and more expensive. So what you're saying is that you would go back to the beginning of fashion where it was only couture, only for a happy few, with a number in their hands and showing the best clothes and the best ideas?
Years ago, there used to be a song sung by some comedian or something called "If I Ruled the World." If I ruled the fashion world,
yes,
I would put a moratorium on ready-to-wear immediately.
The whole weeks, the whole month?
Yeah, I wouldn't have them. I would have couture, and I would have cruise and pre-collection. And that's all we need.
Why would you have cruise and pre?
Because pre is something which people can actually afford and wear.
But so you would show them
and
on
couture
a
is
catwalk.
where, yes, and couture, yes, but not a catwalk halfway up the Himalayas or something, you know.
Yeah, but if you then put instead of ready to wear in the same fashion month.
I'd say let's do no ready to wear for the next 5 years and
not
see.
do it at all, not presenting it, not do it at all.
Not do it at all.
Which means making a bigger difference in making and techniques between the two, between couture and okay.
And then couture would stop being the same thing done more expensively. It would be something which has an idea behind it. Something which actually, it's not part of our brief now, but I find the same thing with Savile Row. Savile Row has tacked itself on to London Collections Men. Now, London Collections Men is hugely successful, and full marks to them. They've really done. They're now being copied. Even the title is being copied by New York, you know, and that's what you call real success. But St James's and Savile Row are trying to fit into this. They shouldn't be. They should be like couture. They should be completely separate and giving out ideas, extraordinary, marvellous ideas, colourways and everything, because they'll always be the poor relations.
But so don't you think that the young people are doing ideas?
No, they'll always be the poor relations because they won't sell very much because young men do not want to dress like that. But if there were exciting, cool ideas coming out of Savile Row, I think they would, because so many people now have the money. At one time, the idea of 4,000 for a suit seemed obscene. There are huge numbers of young people in our cities who can afford that and afford more. I think the only two people who are really in any way going anywhere near using really fine tailoring as it should be used are, of course, Tom Ford and Burberry.
Yeah, but what about the Craig Greens and the J.W. Anderson?
We need them.
So where do you put them?
Well, I would say that they would be the equivalent of women's crews. You know.
Okay.
You know, I can think of kids I know, the sons of friends of mine, who would love to wear Craig Green. Can they afford it? No, they can't. Now, Craig Green had a very lucrative couture level, which we can call several rows or something, then they might be able to afford it. And that's one of the real problems. I think it's so sad that so much of the clothing on the women's side that comes out is so trashy and crass. They never have an opportunity to know what quality is about. You know, I can feel that, and it tells me a story straight away. To them, it's just a short-sleeved dress. And that's what's wrong. Let's move to John Galliano.
Yes, I just want, yeah.
Oh, I know you want to say something else?
It's very interesting what you say, but I'm trying also to think about relevance with society today and, you know, the street fashion and the grassroots importance of what we see and what people want to wear. What you're saying doesn't really fit into what society is or is becoming. And so fashion can be a kind of an art or a talent, but it's also a business and a big one. So how does that fit in what you say? You know, they still need, they still need to sell to thousands and thousands of people.
Yes, I will tell you what the problem is. We live on a very rarefied plane where people have money and usually taste. I also live within 10 steps of Oxford Street. Mm-hmm. I see hordes of people. I've just battled through them now to get here. They have no taste. They have no real interest in fashion per se. They buy by colour and by price. Mm. They don't say, oh, that's a beautifully cut dress. They say, oh, I like that pink. Yeah. I'd love to buy that to take back to Mum. She'd love that.
Yeah, or that's cool, you know. And it's cool because it comes from someone who put it on a catwalk and then it went down to the high street.
I mean, it never went to a catwalk, that's the point. High street, we both know high street clothes are tossed off in all sorts of strange places. You know, they've never even seen a fashion magazine. Someone just does little drawings.
Why? But they copy a lot what they see.
Well, some do, the higher level. But I'm talking about the places where real money exchanges hands, and Oxford Street is one of the biggest exchanges for fashion in the world, but none of it's fashion. Can we go to John?
Okay, let's go to John Galliano.
Thank you very much.
I mean, let's go to Margiela because that's what it's called today. I thought it was a very interesting show with certainly some controversy because, you know, there's some potato sacks that are worn in a certain way, but I think this is the best of Galliano, where it provokes, but then I'm sure that if people could see it in the back or they could see the way they're made, they could see the intricacy of it, they would be astonished, as I was, and I think it's probably the grand return of John Galliano.
I think so, and I hope so. We definitely need it. We've lost Alexander McQueen, unfortunately, forever, but we need somebody like this. People who could do it, some of the French and some of the Italians don't want to, they can't be bothered.
No.
Can't be bothered.
For instance, that beautiful coat there, which is like out of a monastery, in the back, it has a bright blue backpack which is sewn into it. It's like, these are ideas, I think.
These are exciting shapes.
And it has wings, like an angel.
These are exciting shapes. They're uncompromising. You've got to, in any show, you have to have something to hate.
To hate?
Hate. Yeah. And there are lots of things that a lot of women would hate in this, but give it time, and in 2 or 3 seasons.
Well, on this note, I have to quote Tim Blanc on this because he said something that you will like, and I thought it was very interesting. He said that it was the show of contradictions, and he said, ugly and beautiful, caring and cruel, together and apart, chic and scruffy, and of course, masculine and feminine. And then he was describing the clothes, and I mean, he was there and he saw them inside out. And
I would agree with that.
I think it's very interesting, and it what you just said, you know, you need to have something you hate, or it's a little bit like contemporary art that makes people say, "Oh, I could do that," or "What is that?"
A child of 4 can do it. Yeah,
exactly.
So, try.
But I think, for instance, that blue little number has no back. It's like the apron you put on to do
it's like a butcher's apron.
Cooking. Yeah, exactly.
But that's great.
But I think this is Galliano feeling confident again, don't you think so?
Yes, absolutely. And he can only go further and better with this. You see, I'll tell you, and probably I'll get into terrible trouble from SHOWstudio.
You've been in trouble already a lot today.
These are clothes with balls.
Yes.
And that's what we need.
So the trouble would be the word you just used. Don't worry, that's absolutely acceptable.
I don't worry.
That's what we need. But
yes.
my question here is:
look at that. I mean, the middle one there is a fabulous.
Amazing.
Let me just say this because it's moving. That middle one there looks as if it's a travesty of bad taste.
Exactly.
But watch that look.
And what about the one next to
does.
it? It's a potato sack that looks quite amazing.
Oh, I loved that.
I love too. But my question here is that here we're discussing this as expert, can I say? Do people buy this? Will the Maison Margiela sell this? Or is it not meant to sell?
I don't think it's
because
really
there's
meant
like
to sell.
18 looks. It's very short.
I don't think it's meant to sell particularly.
Okay.
It's meant to sell other things, yes. But yes, as this becomes, Margiela has never been considered, what should we say, sophisticated and high fashion. He doesn't sell well, I understand, in America, but he would sell terribly well in Belgium or something like that.
Yeah.
I've just come back from Antwerp and I'm amazed at how advanced people are in Belgium.
I love Antwerp.
They are so sophisticated.
It's a very good place, yeah.
You know, their hotels, their clothes and everything.
They're intellectual.
Yes, they're intellectual.
They're very cultivated.
And there's a bit of intellectual business going on here, and let's have some, for God's sake.
For sure, but that's my. I mean, I also think that fashion can live as fashion when it's seen a little bit in the street, not in Oxford Street on thousands of people. But I think that if I were a designer, I would like to see some people wearing what I do. So will this live in a museum only? Will it be going down in years and years of history and archives and, you know, shows, or will it be worn?
No, it'll do all of that, but some of it will be worn, certainly. It'd be interesting to see which PRs have the courage to lead, as they do, of course, some desperate little starlet on a red carpet to wear something like this. I am so sick of seeing dresses, it's just happened in Paris, I'm not going to mention any names, that are absolute reruns of Christian Dior's new look. Same proportions, same colours, same little bits of embroidery. He presented the new look in 1947.
Some time ago.
You know? Now, if he had been as crass and as stupid as most of the designers are today, he would have not done a new look. He would have gone right back to Victoria's times and copied that. But he didn't, because he had something to say through the medium of clothes. They are like sculptors or artists. There's no point in doing it unless you have something to say. And something to say can sometimes be very difficult to discover.
So in what you just said, you're hinting that the Dior show was bad?
No, I'm not at all.
I think it was exquisite.
Oh, I wouldn't say that necessarily.
I think it was exquisite, and I think it had some interesting take on ideas that were at the same time rather wearable. But I also feel, and probably that will get me in trouble, that there is some Valentino influence.
Well, look at these two here.
Yeah.
They're new look. They're straightforward new look. But they won't be as well made. Because people don't have time now. They're too busy doing
They have quite good atelier though.
Oh, they do, that's true. If we
move it up, no, down.
Oh no, sorry, down.
Sorry, the other direction.
Mamma mia.
It's the coats. I think there is this coat that make me think a little bit of the French Lieutenant's Woman. Not that this one, there are some longer ones that are spectacular.
The middle one makes me think of a woman who's just been told, oh, your child has just sort of fallen down in the street, and she puts on the first thing that she can throw around her shoulders and get to look at these. I mean, these aren't modern clothes, for God's sake. I mean, let's be honest. Would anyone in this room, got some very pretty girls here,
I would wear all those coats. Yes, the coats, yes, including the one with one sleeve only.
Oh, I would wear the one with one sleeve only. It'd be great fun.
I would wear all the.
But I do think, saying this, I thought his sleeves were incredibly ponderous and heavy.
They were very heavy.
They were a disaster.
They were very heavy. But look at this look in the middle with the red trousers and the leather cape. Is that couture? I don't know, but I would wear it, if that's your question. But you know, I can't tell you it's couture or not until I see it. I see how it's
You
made,
have
how
to feel
complicated
them
it is.
and
The fabrics,
see
you know,
them with the body
I don't
moving
know.
in front of you. Let's go on and see some others, because there are others that I wasn't.
I think there is a lot of
frightfully happy
Valentino
about.
influence here. The shapes.
Look, I feel very sorry for him. He is a very good designer. He has been forced into the wrong box. It's quite simple. He's in the wrong box.
So you don't think there are ideas here? I think there are, and I think there is a lot of his experience and a lot of his inspiration.
Well, as they say, kisai. Who knows? We'll have to.
I think this will sell well.
and see. Yes, these are simple
It's recognizable.
clothes.
It's
Yeah,
wearable.
these are simple clothes.
it's-
Any woman could wear these. Are they a statement? No, they're not.
Well, it's not Galliano, but we're talking a totally different culture, a totally different world, and also a totally different brand.
Do you know what I'm talking? I'm talking excellence. There is no point in doing it unless they're going to do it in an excellent way. Because there are plenty of other people who are not so famous, not as well paid, not as privileged in the way they can use expensive fabrics and everything, who are doing very much the same thing. This is high street. I'm sorry, I think it is.
I agree to disagree on this one.
Good.
So why,
Good. I thought
what's
you were
the
going
difference-
quiet on me there.
No, exactly. But what's the difference between excellence here or in Valentino? What was that you thought was more excellent there?
Can I be
Why-
very cruel?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, you've been
was-
for past half hour, so
It was, oh dear, it was very much better made and cut.
okay.
I mean, look at that. Stop it there.
Yeah,
can you?
that
Now
I
we
know
have
what I'm going to
three desperate things to send down any runway. What is the idea behind those three things?
Yeah, but it's the
There
whole
is no
show. I
idea.
think it's you can't. I mean, it's a little bit unfair to take one look out. And also here there are, I don't know, I don't remember how many, but it's quite a lot. While John did smartly enough 15 or 18 looks.
Yeah.
So, you know, you risk less to put something that doesn't have anything to do in there than when you do such a long show. But the whole of this show, I thought it was really good.
I gather that.
The whole of it, from the
Yes.
very pure beginning with the white, you know, sheer fabric to those coats.
Oh, I thought any schoolgirl could have made those.
Who?
You mean, I thought any schoolgirl could have made those. You mean the what were they made of? Not chiffon. What are they called? Not linen. The white virtual
the
ones.
first look, yes.
That's well.
Okay.
I thought, is this Haute Couture I'm watching, or is it a sixth form or fourth grade or whatever it is?
Well, but then about haute
Fashion
couture or
show.
ready to wear, I have the same
I
problem with
I
you.
want you to know that I like this man, and I think
I
he
know you
is
like
a
him,
very,
yes.
very good designer, and it crucifies me to see what he's having to do because he's taken the wrong step.
Which is the wrong brand to work for, you think?
Yes, he had his own strong persona, and it was getting better and better all the time. He was a major designer in embryo.
And what about
very
him
now.
doing ready to wear for Christian Dior? Are you as severe, or you think it's better?
It would be better if it was his own label, you know, which, I mean, his label, this is what I find very worrying about fashion now. His label came from his heart and his head. When he was young, he thought, yes, this is how I want to dress women. This is what I want to do. Once someone says, here's a great big fat check for you, you forfeited that. You're no longer expected to do what's in your heart and your head.
Well,
You're
that's when you
expected
go
to
and
do
work
things
for a
that
brand.
somebody says, that'll make money for us, even if it's just for a fragrance or something. And that's the terribly sad thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, but that's the law of the world. People have to make money and people have to sell clothes.
I'm not saying,
this is-
I'm not saying for one moment that putting your heart and your soul into it means you don't sell clothes.
Okay.
I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is
Well-
he's lost his spirit. This is what I mean. There is no spirit to these clothes.
And why Valentino, in Valentino's clothes, there is spirit?
Yes, and I think that's because they understand the nuances of what the firm
They grew up
is
there
about.
also.
Exactly, they've worked there for years, and I think I think they understand what Valentino is about. A lot of people love it, a lot of people don't like Valentino, but at least they understand what they are doing.
Well, on these words, I think I have to wrap it up.
I think so.
Do you have a final word for one of these brands or one of these designers, or
for them all? I would say, try harder and better luck next time.
Okay, thank you, Colin.
Thank you.